you neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For up-to-the-minute info on distribution hubs, help, and volunteer opportunities in the Altadena area, please visit Neighborhood Servants or Pasadena Community Coalition on Instagram. The Wild Seed Collective is offering free grant workshops to businesses impacted by the LA wildfires. Find them at wildseedcollective.com. Fuller Psychological and Family Services is offering 12 free therapy sessions to people impacted by the fires who are unable to access care. Contact Executive Director Dr. Ted Koss at tedkoss@fuller.edu. Grief and Hope, the LA Art World Mutual Aid Relief administered by The Brick, is offering help to artists impacted by the blazes. Info is available at the/brick.org. On Instagram, Mutual Aid LAN is updating a Google Sheet in real time with locations, verified GoFundMe sites, and current resources. If you haven't done so yet, it's still a good idea to sign up for Notify LA on your phone for fire alerts and updates. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Nothing on that beat. Go.
Give me all that you got now. Make you want me 'cause I'm hot now. I'm gone, so faded, I'm on one. Bang, bang, pop off like a long gun. If you lame, you ain't making no noise. Get ready to turn up with the big boys. Live fast, die young, that's my choice. Get money like an invoice. Make the whip, make the money, make the grip. I be stunning with my click. Get it faded till we trip. Man, I love to get on. I love to get you on. When the drink get too strong, when the tree be way too strong.
Happy Thursday. Welcome in. Happy birthday to Tinashe. Shout out to Two On. Just had the summer of 2014 lit. If you were in LA and of this age, you know that toxic day party on Saturdays in Hollywood. Turn this up. And, yeah.
Shout out to Mustard for the production.
DJ Mustard for the production. Mustard is hot right now. We're seeing doppelgangers of his sound. I'm talking about the Bruno Mars cut. That sounds like a Mustard beat from 2014, the one with him in Sexy Red.
I gotta listen to the track again.
It reminds me of an old Mustard beat. Listen, welcome in. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580, the entertainment news update with Jill Munroe. I hope that you are relaxed, maybe with a beverage. It could be a libation. It is Thursday before Super Bowl weekend. So I hope you are chilled out and ready to get into these entertainment news headlines and hot topics as always. So, of course, tonight we're going to be getting into what goes on behind the Super Bowl, away from the gridiron. We have the matchup, but there are a lot of events, a lot of brand sponsorships, a lot of money that is moving, a lot of moving parts. So we're going to talk about what it takes to make those moves, how outside moves impact that, and, just general things that are going to impact it. Oh, and a little bit of Kendrick Lamar, because he did do his Super Bowl halftime show introductory press conference earlier today, and there's some sound bites from there that we gotta, get into a little bit. We are also going to talk a little bit about the Lakers. We know they made a blockbuster trade that has started a domino effect across the NBA. These big deals have been wheeling and dealing all week down to the very last minute. Tonight, I believe Luka is making his debut for the Lakers. No, he didn't pass the thing. Saturday. Okay. Saturday. Well, soon enough, night before Super Bowl, we are close. And obviously the West especially, but everybody across the NBA was a little shook up by that move, and it started a domino effect. So we're going to talk about the business behind that, how that affects it, because we have a guest here tonight that is the perfect person to weigh in on these topics and more. Of course, we're going to head off more trending topics. We have Damon Haley, entrepreneur, author, co-owner of Slay Hair. We spoke with him last week, and Damon's going to be tapping in with us to give us some insight on sports and entertainment business. I think that is a needed and added aspect to this show that, we'll look forward to every week, maybe every other week, depending upon this busy man's schedule. We'll have to see. But we're also going to get into Irv Gotti. We talked about briefly last night his passing. We have been talking about a lot lately the health of Black men. And, one thing that has not been lost on me in Irv's passing, obviously we're going to get into his legacy and all of the things that he produced and his business acumen, but it is not lost on me that from the 90s, early 2000 era, Biggie and Tupac gone, Eazy-E gone, Jam Master Jay gone, Dame Dash bankrupt, wilding out, Chatty Patty himself, Russell Simmons, he's off in exile, Suge and Diddy in prison, R. Kelly in prison, Irv Gotti deceased, DMX deceased. I mean, there's a couple more that we can add to that list. That is a good chunk of the culture, a good chunk of men that impacted hip hop, early business, gave us our peek into that nature, and they are now deceased or moved out of position. So we got to look at a little bit about that. Andy?
I thought you were trying to insinuate something with that.
No, I'm not saying no conspiracy theories. I'm saying, one, Black men need to take care of their health. Two, food. Three, we have to look at how we're living and the things that we put out there, because a lot of the things that we represented, a lot of the things that we pushed for are hurting us.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the blowback of this 25, 30 years later. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in addition to, more trending topics and headlines. We will get into all of that when we come forward. You are locked in with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales or vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a complimentary stay in Cancun at a luxury resort, then Family Vacation Getaways may have your ticket to paradise. We're giving away a 5-day and 4-night stay to the first qualified 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You may also be eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $398. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you may be eligible to get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $398. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. Again, call 800-868-6431 and give us your answer.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in to KBLA Talk 1580. So we are going to get into these trending topics and headlines. And as I mentioned, I am not here alone tonight. I am joined by entrepreneur, author, business owner, Mr. Damon Haley. Welcome back in.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Damon, you have had the pleasure or the frustration, depending upon how you look at it, of working on events at Super Bowl, All-Star, corporate events for players, different things of that nature. Give me a sort of round view of what that weekend looks like from a work perspective or business perspective, because we always hear about, oh, there's money around the events. There's so much that happens. There are networking and deals that are made during these weekend sponsored events. Like, realistically, you and I know, but what is the point of the event sponsors having? It's not just for a party or things of that nature. There's a business science to these things. So talk a little bit about that and what goes into these multi-million dollar weekends.
Well, when we talk Super Bowl is $1 billion weekend. Not a million, it's $1 billion weekend. A place like New Orleans, it's going to represent $500 million, a $500 million economic impact. And that's why cities bid on it. So if you get the Super Bowl, that's like $1 billion business for a weekend. I'll take that all day, every day. Work for 4-5 days or a month and have the other 11 days off. And a lot of businesses are doing that. So, for instance, Super Bowl is the second largest food-centric holiday.
Oh, wow.
Second to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So you take something like food service. Nobody's cooking down there. Everybody's partying. So food and beverage, boom, wins. I mean, food trucks can be winning down there. Restaurants can be winning down there, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just for people who get the bid. So when we think of LA 28, that's the kind of stuff we get to think about for 3 weeks, right? If you're sitting there in LA, how could I entertain a business for 3 weeks for everybody coming in to LA? But for Super Bowl, boom. Now we talk about sponsors. So the football NFL has tons of partners and brand partners. So they do hospitality. So just imagine if I'm a car dealer, I'm inviting all of my car dealers in for the Super Bowl so they buy more cars, so they have a great time. And so it's things like that. Everybody who is selling something can bring their customers, their clients in to the biggest sporting event of the year. So that's why hospitality is so huge during Super Bowl weekend.
So you hear a lot of conversation where some cities say the economic advantages don't really outweigh some of the aftermath that they're left with as far as, noise, trash, temporary, restrictions moved around. For example, I remember there's a conversation around Essence Festival, and Essence does a blockout of a couple of blocks around the Superdome where you cannot have an event that is not officially affiliated with Essence because of the different brand deals and so forth. But the local businesses said that hurt them in some regard because they weren't able to take advantage of the full-blown event that's taking place there, but their collateral damage in the meantime in the mix. Like, yeah, they get customers, but they can't, do the blowout because they could potentially be sued. So how do those things kind of weigh out? Is it city by city? Or?
Yeah, it really is city by city. So there is a perimeter, what you call the perimeter. It is built in every major event, and I've been there in New Orleans plenty of times. There's a perimeter for LA 28 that's already established, like if you're on the inside or you're on the outside. I think that it's important to get with your local mayor, your local sports and entertainment commission to get involved with that. So LA is going to have All-Star Weekend, we're going to have World Cup, we're going to have a ton of stuff. You need to be, if you're here, you need to be with the LA Sports Commission, Auntie Maxine, everybody to get involved in that because it's only so big. It's only so much. And you talked about it's a term, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Well, the needs of the rich outweigh the needs of the poor in many situations, because those are the people that really get compacted. I still have to go to work.
Right.
So my traffic's messed up. I have a small business. I need to be inside there so I can take advantage of that. So I think you bang your city councilman, you bang your mayor, anybody who makes a decision, be a squeaky wheel, make a lot of noise so you can get that advantage. Because like I said, we talking about $1 billion. I'll take 10% of that. I'll take 1% of that and make my year.
How do you become a disruptor and stuff like that? Because spoiler alert, Damon and I have known each other for a very long time. Damon had a company prior to that did many things. I can't even list all, not just events, but product launches, and just, I'm probably not doing UMCA justice, but kind of break down what a company like that would do for brands and All-Star, and how are you a disruptor? Because with so many events, the unofficial events, the official events, how do you stand out in markets like that when it's so crowded?
Well, you have to have a value proposition. One, you have to figure out who needs what, because say Coca-Cola, they're based in Atlanta, they have a regional office out here. The regional office is probably going to take the lead on, say, the Olympics, or in New Orleans, that office is going to take that, or we're at All-Star game in the Bay Area. You have to get with those entities and say, ladder me up to the group that's doing it. Ladder me up, because oftentimes the people who are responsible don't live in the city, but they still have reps that live in the city, and they don't want to see you every day if you say no. So you have to really have that kind of relationship and the foresight to say, what can we do? This is what we do. What kind of service do you need? Because there's tons of arms and legs that you need, and you do need to do stuff that work so that the people who work at the brands can do hospitality and kick it, because
Right.
It was all, we had an agency, we grunt work. We
Right.
were the first ones there, last one to leave.
Absolutely. And we're like, hi.
Yeah.
Did we get this?
Mm-hmm.
Can we make sure that we have seats up front for
Yep, all that.
such and such? So there's a lot of celebrity interactions in that. If you were representing a celebrity, right, or a personal brand for weekends as such, how do you target them differently? Do you help put them in place? Do you wait for sort of brands, or, like when we were at Nike, we would put the word out to our entertainment or, other resources that we would like celebrity A, celebrity B, and celebrity C to come through to our event, right? So sometimes you work with celebrities that have products and stuff like that. So how do you kind of garner when to push them out and when to fall back? Is it based on their needs, or how do you know when to use celebrity in these instances?
Yeah, you have an array. Like last year, I thought Usher did a great job of launching his tour, like around Super Bowl and all of that. I don't know what Kendrick has.
He already announced his tour.
Okay.
So he's going on tour in the spring with SZA.
So you have things like that. If you have something to sell, product, etc., you leverage the high point. And so you look at a celebrity and say, what do you have? Like, for instance, I was in a conversation today with a new Laker member, so to speak, and they were asking me, how does he become a star? How does he become a star in LA? Because they've seen me do that before.
Right.
And so
we'll just talk about how you worked with Kobe Bryant early on, 2 times over.
Yeah, so I think it's looking at like what is it? Like for one, honestly, like when I would go to All-Star Weekend, my number one thing would be to be where Adam Silver or David Stern will be. Because that's where the power is.
Right.
And then Mark Tatum used to be responsible for all the sponsors. That's where the money is. So there's money, there's power, and then there's all the rest of the stuff. So if you have a celebrity that needs to be in a power scenario.
And me, I would be where the people would be, so I could come and do the trend reports and report back. I still had I still had things to do.
So you look and see, what does that celebrity have, and then you got a bunch of brands, and so can you get a commercial opportunity? You know what I mean? Can you be the face of? Can you get free product? People will come to the Jordan party for many, like All-Star weekends was the place to be. It was just a place to see other people.
And the seating.
Yeah, and so I think that you look and see what's the most important thing.
Think about, so remember All-Star in Houston, I think that was what, 2005, 2006? You don't remember. We did a seating lounge with Nike, and one of the edicts that you made it is that you wanted it to be the place to be where people just kind of came through and kicked it. So we had wine tasting going around. We had a jazz band. There was a lot of programming and decisions into that, but it was the seating lounge, right? So, and you had the right people in there. And it also, I think there was earlier on the earlier in their career, younger players to kind of get them through, to kind of not only build that relationship, but to get their star point up. And since we were going there anyway, let's kind of take a turn onto the new star in LA. So you have a little bit of history with, some of the GMs involved, right?
Yes.
You've worked closely with both Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka. What would you do? Because obviously this move positioning a player like this in LA, second largest media market in the world, franchise, second, we should really be first. That's neither here nor there. Most championships in NBA history, there is a prestige that goes along with playing with the Los Angeles Lakers, like there is for the New York Knicks, there is for the Boston Celtics, but that is more strictly basketball side as opposed to LA and New York involved lifestyle and branding and so forth. What are some of the things that you would advise a superstar, a foreign superstar, coming into this market, how to make sort of a splash?
Well, I wouldn't call him a superstar in LA.
Okay.
Because he's not. He's not a super. I mean, there's a lot of superstars in LA and New York. We know that. And so you have to come humbly in and say, where do I bridge the gap? So, for instance, and I just had this conversation. I said, you got to figure out how he's incorporated into the Oscars. So there's a whole award season thing that's happening. When Kobe won that Oscar, that put him in a different room of Hollywood that no other NBA guy has been in.
So you think, well, to your point, because LeBron James is one of the on the board for the Met Gala in May, which I have my thoughts about, because shouldn't they be in the playoffs, especially now? How are you going to make that work, LeBron? But we're positioning athletes in different. There was a time when athletes were not considered celebrities.
Right. Yep.
They were just athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They were popular, but there wasn't as much focus on what they did outside of the game. You had your very, very, very top ones, perhaps. But now, even the fifth or sixth guy on the bench, we shouldn't know as much as we do about Tristan Thompson, for example. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Andy is saying, why not? I'm not saying why. I'm saying, if you go back to the 90s, how much did you know personally about somebody like Derek Coleman? Or, you know what I'm saying?
You had to be in a circle.
You had to be in a certain circle. Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying that athletes were looked at differently from celebrities. And we have seen the evolution of that. Nike as part of that in the branding as we helped expand it out. And some of we, them, us, they. But I think that it is a different time in how you make a star, especially as athletes. There's 24/7 access on social media. So do you push them right away into Hollywood as Hollywood is kind of usurping? Do you think about when Kobe signed with Nike, what was one of the first things that you guys talked about that we sent Kobe to do? He wanted to do it, but what was one of the first things? We couldn't really market him at that time, too, because the trial came up.
Yeah, we couldn't. And so, I think the Kobe 1 came out in 2006 and he was signed in 2003. So he was really, quote unquote, under the radar. So offhand, I remember taking him to Westchester Fairfax game because that was the biggest game at the time. He went to Harold and Bell's, and these were just drive-bys, walking him through Fox Hills Mall, creating an urban legend because he had already been in L.A. for, 5 or 6 years, but he hadn't become part of L.A. And so the strategy was how do we make him part of L.A. because at the time Shaq was gone and so was Phil. So he was the only one really left, and so those are things we did. And then obviously I think his big coming out party was, I think it was about 15,000 people at Fox Hill Mall.
Yep, when we did the I still have my shoe from that.
Oh yeah, it was a Huarache. It was like a Huarache launch. But we had frat games. We had DJ Quick on the stage. Keisha Cole was there. Who's that dude? Derek Luke.
Kristen Bell was there. We had all black and white stars.
Yeah, we did. And with him, we could do black and white. It was enough because he was at that point he was that big of a star and had 3 rings.
And what I think people don't remember is at that time, prior to that, Kobe wasn't considered someone that would go to these type of events. Or be in those type of elements. Andy is looking in disbelief. You don't remember. There was a definite difference in a Shaq fan and a Kobe fan in those early championships. There was a different thought process as to where Kobe did. We did a lot of the work to change that perception. Go ahead, Andy.
I don't want to push back on the work. I guess I can only,
no. But
I can only
push back
speak
on the
for myself.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kobe. After his rookie year, I remember he shot a commercial at Dorsey High School.
Yeah.
And I remember the kids that was in the area, we had swarmed him. So to kind of hear this stuff is kind of like surprising. I felt like he was locked in with LA from a rookie. That's just me.
Yes
and maybe because
no.
I'm a basketball fan. And
I mean, I think yes and no. I think, and we'll get more into this when we come forward, but I think on one hand he was, but when the division started between he and Shaq was really in the streets and touching those people, it's revisionist history now, but 25 years later, there was really are you going with Shaq or are you going with Kobe? And Kobe was not in the streets, so to speak, like that.
I mean, let me say, so Shaq was doing...
Well, wait, I'm going to put a pin on you, and when we come forward, we're going to let you finish that thought. You were locked in to KBLA Talk 1580, News, Traffic, and Sports on the other side.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. A judge is pausing the Trump administration's deferred resignation offer, extending the deadline to Monday. Over 40,000 federal workers have accepted the deal, which includes pay through September. Winter storms affecting 100 million people from Nebraska to Massachusetts bring snow, sleet, and freezing rain, causing power outage risk and travel hazards. Major cities are impacted, with another system hitting the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley this weekend. The Reverend Al Sharpton is leading a memorial service for the victims of the Eaton fire at the Pasadena AME Church. Among those in attendance is Ben Crump. The civil rights attorney represents some of the families who lost loved ones in the fire. And Kendrick Lamar says his big game halftime show will bring Los Angeles energy to New Orleans. Performing with SZA, he calls it an honor after watching her career from the start. Lamar recently won 5 Grammys for Not Like Us. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Big delays out of Agora Hills, leaving Liberty Canyon Road as you continue all the way into downtown Los Angeles. Also, as you make your way through Garden Grove, good news on the 22 eastbound before Fairview. A wreck is wrapped up and delays are still picking up away from Brookhurst. Extremely tough in the Cajon Pass. 15 northbound loading up at Sierra to the 138. And heads up, we've got some wet roads out there, and it's really making a tough drive, especially along the 210. Heading westbound, delays out of Pasadena from Washington. A crash just past Lincoln is being cleared out of lanes. More slowing ahead from the 2 all the way to Hubbard Street.
If you were self-employed or a 1099 contractor and missed work because you had COVID or cared for an immediate family member with COVID in 2021, you may qualify for up to $32,000 for the Sick and Family Leave Credit. Visit taxcreditnow.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The mood in Dallas has not been good since the Mavericks traded Luka Dončić Saturday to get Anthony Davis. Fans have been protesting the trade outside American Airlines Center, the Mavericks Arena. Mavericks management was forced to give refunds to a large number of fans who canceled their season tickets for the rest of the season. On top of all the discontent in Dallas, AD has a strained abdomen. He missed Tuesday's game in Philadelphia and will not play tonight in Boston. The Mavericks are hoping AD is ready to play Saturday against Houston, their first home game since the trade. AD may need to be as healthy as possible the rest of the season to ease the pain for Mavericks fans of losing Dončić. AD is facing much more pressure than Dončić to satisfy a new fan base. If Dončić makes his Lakers debut Saturday against Indiana, he will likely get a festive welcome from Lakers Nation. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Can't stop it, block it when I drop it. Anytime I go rhyme for rhyme on a topic. They ain't even fit to step in Shaq's arena. I look inside your mind and I see your shook demeanor. In your eyes, why are you surprised? No matter how you try, not fly as Eloquaz. The new edition. Is this the end of your last night? In the daytime, you couldn't
playing
see
on the
with
west
a
side.
I crash flights on
Welcome
sites
back
on my
in to
enemy.
KBLA Talk 1580. We got a little Shaq bringing us back. Let me tell you something about Shaquille O'Neal, though. If you aren't aware, Shaquille O'Neal is the first NBA player, athlete with a platinum plaque. He is, and he has multiple ones. Now, of course, Dame Lillard has caught up with him, if you're into that, current Milwaukee Buck. But Shaq set the standard and the stage for that. And of course, Andy was mentioning his song with DJ Quick, which was the more popular cut. I like playing on the east side, playing on the west side. There's a couple of things. They were all banging. That song was mine too, though, with the sample. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580. At any point during this conversation, you want to call in and share your opinion with us, 800-920-1580. And as always, the YouTube chat is bustling over. I'm joined tonight by Damon Haley, entrepreneur, author, business owner extraordinaire. And Romance and Dance in the chat says, my guy Damon, business neighbor. So, you guys got to get down to Glow and Flow Beauty in Inglewood. There's a lot happening in that plaza you may want to check out.
Romance and Dance, they putting it down. That's where the young ladies come and get their workout on, and also do some exotic dancing, if that's what we calling it these days. But it is a beautiful spot. Fee and Bo doing their thing.
Shout out to them. Pretty Brown Mimi says, are there many black-owned businesses that are getting in on the Super Bowl business?
Down in New Orleans this year, yes, they are. I know a couple of them because I've probably done about 3 or 4 of them, and I reached out to all of them, reminding them to advocate hard. So yes, probably not enough because, and I will say not enough because you have to have a certain level of capital, to really do it, and you have to have a lot of infrastructure. But I know at least 4 or 5 businesses that I've worked with in the past that are doing it, and they're very aware of it because there's tons of sports stuff. Their bowl games, their Final Four. So New Orleans is dialed in, and the people of New Orleans are dialed in into black folks in terms of taking advantage of it. So I would say yes, yes, and yes.
Okay, we love to hear that. So Lucas Frank says, I have my reservations about Luka in this social atmosphere. If there's a George Floyd situation, we need to hear from the Lakers leader. My question is, do we? And I mean this in all sincerity. I don't mean this in disrespectful form or anything like that. I know how important it was with Trayvon Martin down in Orlando when after that happened. Excuse me, not in Orlando. When the Miami Heat all came together and kicked off this latest wave of social justice amongst at least NBA athletes. Because before that, everyone kind of leaned into the old alleged quote from Jordan in the 90s, Republicans buy shoes too. So we kind of kept the things separate. But sometimes I think I understand why we want to hear from these individuals, but do we need to? Is that their role? Is that the best use of them and their celebrity? Sometimes I say no.
I think, is that Lucas? That's a good question because if you think about the people and you think about the Lakers, I don't know if we have anyone in the Lakers organization that can speak to the masses of people. So when you think of a J.J. Redick, I'm sure he'll have an opinion, but I don't know if he appeals to us. He's not an L.A. guy. Rob's cool.
Not J.J. Redick's not from L.A.?
He doesn't appear to be
no.
an LA guy, Duke and all
that's
that
right,
stuff.
that's
and
right.
He did
Okay.
Clippers and all of that, but once again, he's not in there. Right. He's not doing the stuff like some coaches would. And so I think the other thing I like, Rob and I went to college. He was Fab Fiving at Michigan. I was on the peripheral of some of that stuff, and part of my work with Kobe was a great relationship with Rob too. But Rob doesn't touch our space down here as much. And so Luka, I don't think he could, and because he's a foreigner. Not only is he not an LA person, he's not an American, so he couldn't. But as I think about that, I mean, I did some work with the Hornets. The Hornets had a community coalition down there, so Jordan figured it out. I don't want to deal with it as Michael Jordan, as the owner, but he had a go-to community, like a community advisory board that would handle issues. And I don't think the Lakers have that.
They don't have a community relations thing anymore. I know they used to.
I know Keisha.
Right, was there for a long
Nick,
time.
So she might be the one. She's the head of she's a VP. I think she's the first VP to ever hold it. So she might be that person, but it wouldn't be an athlete or wouldn't be a coach. It'd have to be someone from the organization. Now, when you have a Shaq, when you have a Magic, when you have those types of guys that can speak on behalf, it works well. But with the Lakers now and free agency and people moving around who we connect with, it has to be somebody in the organization, and I would say it would probably be Keisha.
But does the general public, we recognize and know Keisha, and maybe solid Laker fans, but would the general public appreciate that?
No, I think you have to do better marketing and communication on who that person is, the connectivity. I mean, personalities are big now. You and I, in our day, we couldn't admit the things we were doing, because it had to be all the corporate stuff.
Right.
Like as an agency, I couldn't say the stuff I'm doing or pictures and all of that. But now you can. So if I'm Jeannie Buss, I'm positioning something to say, I don't want Lucas to ask that question again, because that was a damn good question.
Right.
And it ain't on Luka. It can't be. It's impossible. Right. But it got to be somewhere in the organization.
Andy?
Luka knows Spanish, right?
I believe so.
They just need to set up a community event out there in East LA.
Yeah.
And have him speak to the people over there. I think he'll grab LA.
It has to be a strategy. I don't think it's a one-off, and really, and like I said, I was in a conversation with somebody earlier today to say there has to be. Now, don't get me wrong, he got to create a parade. Him and LeBron, we know that, but there has to be a strategy on how he feels, because people. And I talked to somebody in Dallas today. They liked him as a player in Dallas, but he wasn't part of the Dallas mix, because what do you think these guys do after the last game? They go out of the country.
Go out of the country. They get up out of here.
Yeah, I remember Paul Gasol. Even after the parade, he was out.
Yeah,
You know?
and we talk about that, and there's no connection, and that's a big thing, especially now. People want to feel connected. They feel entitled to athletes, artists, entertainers in a different sort of way, because social media has allowed them an access that they didn't have before. So they feel a different type of affinity for their fandom.
Yeah, like Luka got to buy out some bars, in different parts of the neighborhood.
All right.
Sunset, Hollywood, DTLA, buy out the bar, that kind of stuff, because that's what brings people together. That's what the traditional American star used to do. I'm gonna buy out the bar. That's what makes me relatable and fun.
I went to da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da came through, and he bought the whole thing.
We like that.
And that's urban legend, and it lives forever.
Love it.
It does. We've seen it. Go, Andy.
Okay. So, all right, what does connection actually look like? Because, you talked about Kobe, you talked about Powell, and I'm thinking to myself, hold on. Powell is beloved out here in L.A., but what connection are we talking about?
Powell was beloved once we won the title. Here's the thing, we were so excited to get him here, right? We couldn't wait to get him from Memphis. We couldn't wait to get him over. But had that dream had not panned out, inevitably, he wouldn't be as beloved or cared about.
Yeah.
Tell me this. Do people still talk about Cedric Ceballos? He won the dunk contest. Now, we know he went to Lake Havasu, but he was a Laker during a period of time when the Lakers weren't up. It was a transitionary period.
I got one even better for you,
Okay.
Jill.
Nick Van Exel.
Thank you.
Do
Eddie
we still
Jones,
talk about
100%.
Right. Here's the thing. No, you as a basketball fan, I'm talking about culturally. They're still important, but not the way that I would imagine they would be. Nick the Quick and his handles was legendary. It was something that was kind of a Laker tone, his swag, the way he would tell them to sit down and stuff like that. But Nick never won a title. So Nick isn't considered, he's beloved, but he's not in that thing. People love Paul more than they love Nick, although Nick was closer to the culture.
Yes, I'm going to tell you two people I think we love. L.O., Lamar.
Yeah.
And Ron Artest. Ron wore his jersey for 4 days. Ron would be balling down at Venice Beach during the season on his off day, things like that. So the connectivity is about, is he tangible, and do I feel like I have access to him, or is it only during the game?
I'm with you on that, okay? I'm rocking with L.O. I'm rocking with Metal World Peace. Trevor Ariza, L.A. native, champion with the Lakers.
He neutral. Because I know Trevor, I know, Westchester dude, all that kind of stuff. He wasn't too high and wasn't too low.
I think Trevor was a journeyman. You have to think he was drafted in the second round of 2004. He did 1 year at UCLA?
Yeah.
So I think there is a definite connection, right? But I think that is real LA people. I don't know if the average Laker fan thinks about him because he was a journeyman player, although he's solid. Now, will his legend come back around because he has a son right now that's making noise and we might hear more about it? Possibly. But, it's kind of like Gilbert Arenas is an urban legend, right? And they mostly associate him with D.C., but he got drafted to the Warriors, and he spent a lot of time there and did a little something, but people really only lock in on Washington Wizard Gil. They don't think about Orlando Gil. That's where he got, most of his money. I know his game was down because he was injured, but his heat up where we started thinking about him a little bit was before the trade. So I think that there are certain time periods and associations or whatever. But Gil, maybe now with the podcast, but Gil is not someone that people think about when they think about LA basketball as far as for the culture. So those are the type of things that I'm talking about.
All right, last question. I'm going to leave this alone.
Okay.
So we're kind of talking more household names, correct? Like somebody that my mom, who might not necessarily watch basketball, would be aware of this person.
Like, your mom knows LO, right?
Yes.
She would know. Okay.
So like,
and she would know a little, kind of, and she would know a little bit about, maybe not a great deal, but she would, oh, that's the boy that was with them girls that do the stuff. You know, a little bit. That's what I'm saying. But it feels real. LO reminds you of your little nephew that, got into trouble, wayward. And if he just would have kept, there are culture touch points, and then there are players that are passing through. Could be the thing. Like, we care about Paul because he won the title. But other than that, guess what? Don't nobody know Paul's wife's name. And I don't mean that as a diss, and I know that seems unimportant, but we know Vanessa's name. We know Savannah. Do you know what I'm saying? There's certain names that we know and associate, and I think that those are cultural touch points, and we think about it a little different. And whereas back in the day, nobody really knew the wives' names and weren't focusing on that. But now those are the type of things that bridge and make other connected points, in my opinion. Forrest Harrison mentioned Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher is somebody that is solidified in the culture. Let me tell you why. There's a couple of reasons why. One, I can't believe you're not looking at the obvious one, because Matt Barnes drove to, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But that is a cultural touchstone. But one, he made that shot over whatever it was. What was it?
San Antonio, .4.
Yeah, .4, right? He was lock in step with Kobe. He's the only player that was with Kobe pretty much the entire tenure that Kobe was here for all 5 of those titles. So there are things like that. Again, had he not been there that we want, like maybe if he hadn't been there for the last 2 or something like that, he did coach the Sparks.
And he's coaching high school now.
At Crespi. He's coaching his stepsons. So, and again, I know you guys are laughing at me, and I am being a little facetious in saying that, but the whole Matt Barnes, Gloria thing, that thing, it's a cultural moment. It's where we are. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel so alone. I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stress inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
You carry a lot. The needs of your family and friends, the responsibilities of work and home, and that doesn't stop when your period starts. New Always Ultra Thin pads are designed to keep up with your busy life. When an unexpected gush hits, you need to trust that your pad has your back and your flow. With new and improved rapid dry technology, Always Ultra Thin now absorbs 3 times faster than the leading size 2 store brand pad, so you can feel cleaner, drier, and fresher. Always Ultra Thin, always gush ready.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back into KBLA Talk 1580. You are listening to your entertainment update. We have been talking about Super Bowl, Luka, all the things that go into that. What makes a superstar in this era? And, you know, our last topic of the evening, we touched briefly last night on the death of Irv Gotti. And 54 years old, man, is young. We don't know the official cause of death yet, but we do know that he was suffering from diabetes. He had a stroke a few months back and was dealing with the effects of that. There's rumors that he had one once again more recently. But, you know, I ran down a list of hip hop icons from that era that are either no longer with us or in different seasons as far as health and wealth and freedom are concerned. And so, you know, a couple of years ago, before Irv passed on, he got into television production. He made the deal with BET for Tales, where he did televised versions of popular songs where they took them and made them into, you know, a half an hour story. He also is a producer for so many hits from back in the days. We know that he bought DMX to Def Jam, I believe, originally. And there's a bunch of other things. He produced Thug Levin, right? Bobby and Ja Rule. That's one of my favorites. I don't care what you guys say. And so it's just, he will be missed. And I remember hearing about an interview that he did talking about the 200, I think it was 200 or 300 million that he signed, 300 million, in order to, you know, of his, what was it, publishing the rights to all his music or whatever.
It was half of his publishing for $100 million, and then he got a $200 million line of credit.
Okay, so a lot of money, and you know, a setup for his children. He said he did this for his family. Now, we don't know if at that time there were some health things going on then, but one, I think it's sad that from that era, we have so few. Jamie just had a stroke as well. Jamie is in the same age range. Mm-hmm. So I think, one, we got to look at health, food, all of these things. The flip side of that is, yes, it is for all of us. But what I want to point out is we aren't losing our female stars on the other side at the same clip. Gabrielle Union, Sanaa Lathan, Tracy Ellis Ross, Regina Hall, Regina King, Halle Berry, I could go on, are all in that same age range, all still here looking beautiful as ever. You never know if they're healthy or not. But I think it is something to be said for the fact that the males on that side seem to be going through a lot of health things, leaving us early. What's wrong, Andy? Okay. Come on. I see you. Bring it.
I was going to say the women that you named were all actresses, and the males were pretty much kind of like in the music industry, but you did mention Jamie Foxx.
I did mention Jamie, Little Kim, but here we could go. Lil' Kim, Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans. I mean,
Maya,
you know, Ashanti. Too, do you know what I'm saying? A. Marie, Beyonce, Kelly. I mean, they're a little younger, but my point is that the women, if we're looking and comparing the stars from that era, right, in music, in film, just across the board from that thing, a lot of their male counterparts are no longer here, and we're not seeing the same with the women.
Well, I'll kick in. I think that borrowing from, you know, the athletic side, and Alonzo Mourning many years ago told me this, hey, my body is my business. And so oftentimes with the guys, they don't see their body as their business. Now, the ladies that you talk about, they are absolutely stunning, beautiful, and have to, because their body is their business.
Men get distinguished, women just get old. I don't think that was the saying in the thought process. Obviously,
no, but that has a lot to do with it, because at least a couple of the women you mentioned,
Lisa Ray,
I've been around them, and they don't drink alcohol, like purposefully. They don't drink alcohol, at least in social settings. Whereas the guys, they do, you know, and I don't know drug play and all of that and food intake, but you're right. I don't think that the guys, and it's for regular people too, not just these rich guys, because we talk about they have means, so they can have private chefs, trainers, all that kind of stuff. I would just say it's a lack of focus even on that level, and it's a travesty. But the women, their body is their business, and their mindset is they probably less likely to do any type of social drugs. They less likely to do any type of social drinking. Like I said, I remember being in the space of a Gabrielle Union, Regina Hall, and Sanaa Lathan, and they nope club soda, nope water, all that kind of stuff. But drinks are flowing with the guys. Like this weekend, I guarantee you there's more dudes going to have alcohol than women.
Absolutely. So it's safer that way, too, though.
It is.
Andy?
Too.
I was going to say, shout out to Method Man and Redman for changing up the narrative.
Facts.
Yeah.
Big facts. So listen, thank you guys for locking in here on KBLA Talk 1580 for our entertainment news update. Like I said, Damon will be a familiar face around these parts. So, if you got some sports and entertainment questions, be sure to float them through. Damon, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Oh, it's easy. Damon Haley, DamonHaley. I'm on Instagram. I know no Twitter or TikTok for me, but find me on Instagram or www.damonhaley.com. I am an author of the book of DH, Dreams and Hopes, baby. Check it out. But I'm easy to find. Call me.
Appreciate that. So listen, we got a couple of more comments in the chat before we get out of here. Forrest Harrison says, in the early Shaq Kobe era, Kobe didn't seem like he was a part of the LA scene, but everyone else on their team did. Later in his career, he felt more approachable. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And he might not have been, but he seemed that.
Right. Yeah. Pretty Brown Mimi says, I think some athletes may be apprehensive to speak out because of the consequences, i.e. Colin Kaepernick. There's always a price to pay for something of speaking truth to power. Maybe so. We're going to put a pin in that. Until tomorrow, I appreciate you guys for locking in. Up next is the voice of reason, Zoe Williams. Have an amazing rest of your evening. Thanks for locking in, y'all.
Come on. Dealing with it. Come on. You miss my loving, my dogging, the loving. And I know you're getting bored. Dealing with it. I know you miss my loving, my dogging, the loving.
I know you're living your life faithfully, safely away from me, but you miss being next to me, don't you? Don't let our love haunt you. Lust for what you want and go for your guns and back out on anyone that tries to interfere or intervene. On me peeling your wide body out of them tight jeans, wrist on freeze, seats on lean, shoes 19, coming through in that new Bentley thing. The talk of the town, the tease of the city. You and I make headlines like Low and Diddy.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A judge is considering blocking the FBI from releasing a list of agents who investigated the Capitol riot. An anonymous group sued, citing retaliation concerns.